Hey guys, welcome to Pydjango-Tutorials, and in this video we will continue with our playlist of 0 to K8s Hero. So till now, we have learned how to expose our application inside and outside the cluster using services. But now imagine you have 10 different microservices. Do you really want 10 different load balancers to manage those services? That would be costly, messy, and even hard to manage. This is where Kubernetes Ingress comes to save the day. So in this video, we'll understand what Ingress is and why it is so powerful, and create our very first Ingress resource to expose a service and services with a nice, clean URL. So let's get started. The very first thing we'll understand is what is Ingress. Think of Ingress as the gatekeeper for your cluster or of your cluster. So instead of exposing every service with a NodePort or load balancer type, Ingress provides a single entry point for your external traffic. You can define rules to route traffic. You can route traffic based on the host names. You can route traffic based on the path route. So for example, api.mysite.com or api.demo.local can go to your API service. Similarly, blogs.mysite.com can go to your blog service, which is totally different microservice. You can even route traffic based on the paths. So for example, /API can go to your API microservice, whereas /shop can go to your shop microservice. This is why Ingress is so important. It provides us that flexibility of routing different traffic to different kind of microservices. Now, Ingress does not work alone. Ingress needs an Ingress controller. For example, NGINX, HA proxy, or even AWS load balancer. So the controller is actual implementation that reads Ingress rules that we define in Ingress YAML and configures the load balancer or NGINX load controller or proxy accordingly. So for our demo, we'll use NGINX Ingress Controller, which we can install very easily in Minikube via Minikube command, or if you're working in a real cluster, you can install it using Helm. Is easily available, so you can install it. But for our use case, we are using Minikube. We'll install using Minikube and Minikube add-ons, and we'll use NGINX Ingress Controller. So without any delay, we can straight away go ahead and create our Ingress YAML file and use that to create the very first Ingress resource. So I'm going to create a file, ingress.yaml. And again, we have to write pretty much the same thing with few changes, of course. So API version. Now this is Ingress is not the part of core API versions or core API v1. Instead, it is part of networking API provided by Kubernetes. So we'll use that. So networking.k8s.io/v1 kind. You might have guessed by now, of course, Ingress, metadata, name for our Ingress, which can be demo Ingress. It cannot have uppercase. So demo Ingress. Then we have to give annotations. So annotation in this case will be, because we are using NGINX Ingress controller. So nginx.ingress.kubernetes.io/rewrite target. Then we have spec, where we define the actual rules for the Ingress and how to route traffic. So rules, very first thing is host that we want to use. So in this case, we'll use demo.local. So this DNS is not present. Instead, we have to update our host file in our system. So I'm going to use that so that we can resolve this DNS name. Next thing is HTTP. It's actually HTTP, and then paths. So right now I'm saying that expose my service whenever somebody comes to root of this DNS, that is demo.local. Then we have to define path type, and that will be prefix. Then we have backend. This is where we define the service that we want to expose using this ingress. So name. Now, if I go to service.yaml, this is the name of my service. I'm going to use this. And then port. Of course, it will be 80 because that's what we have defined here as well. So our ingress is ready. We just have to apply this and it should be good to go. Now let me just explain briefly what each of these things are. So rule is like defining a routing logic. So what I'm saying, whenever a user comes to this DNS demo.local, expose my service. Which service? This service, demo NGINX service, which is already running in my cluster. So whenever a user hits http:/demo.local, Ingress controller or Ingress will automatically expose this service based on the rules we have provided. Demo.local is actually the domain name that maps to the service, and path is obviously when someone visits / forward traffic to demo NGINX service. And annotations are optional, and these are like extra configurations for SSL, for defining the load balancer, for defining the tags, for defining the buckets, for S3 buckets for storing the logs, and all these extra configurations can go to your annotations. Now, if I go ahead and apply this, let's just apply this for now, and then I'll show you what I mean. So this is my terminal. I'm going to start the Minikube server or cluster. So I'm going to say Minikube start. Let's give it a few seconds to start the cluster. Okay, my cluster is up and running. Obviously, I need an Ingress controller because I told you at the starting of the video that we don't have any Ingress controller running in our cluster. So I needed any available Ingress cluster. And in Minikube, we can easily enable that using Minikube. Oh, let's type here, Minikube add-ons enable Ingress. Now this will enable all the add-ons and configurations we need to simulate the behavior of Ingress within our local cluster. So let's just wait for it to get done. Now the Ingress add-on is enabled. Now one very important thing, which I forgot, is once you have your Ingress controller up and running, you have to specify in your Ingress to use that Ingress controller. How you specify is in spec, you give Ingress class name, and in this case, it would be just NGINX. If you're using AWS Load Balancer, all you have to say is ALB, and obviously then you have to give the name of your ALB, but in this case, it should be NGINX, and that's the controller we are using. So now our Ingress is ready. All we have to do is apply this. So let's apply. I'm going to copy the path. Let's see what our resources are running in our cluster. So kubectl get pods -all. So these are the resources running in my cluster or workloads running in my cluster. So I'm going to apply the ingress. So kubectl apply -f, then the path. And of course, we have to change the path. to Linux because we are using subsystem. So let's just quickly change the path. And instead of this, it should be /mnt/c. Okay, that's an error. It's complaining about the unknown field. So I think this should be, instead of rule, this should be rules. And now if I go ahead and apply again, it's complaining about another field. Let's fix that as well. So this should be path type. Let's see what it's complaining about. Oh, this HTTP has to be wrapped in a list of paths. So it should be paths. And then this should be a list. Now it should be good. And then backend services. Indentation is really important. So make sure, guys, to have a careful eyes on indentation. Now it looks good. Let me go ahead and apply again. Yep, our ingress is created. So if I do kubectl get ingress, and there's our ingress. Now host is demo.local. Now if I go to my browser and do http /local demo.local, I don't see anything. Obviously, we have to set this host so that it can be resolved and our users or clients can access this URL. So let's do that. Now, if you're on Windows, just open the terminal. Let's go here and do Minikube IP. So this is our IP. Let's copy this. Now you have to open PowerShell for Windows, and that too with administrative permissions. So let me do that. So I'm going to say PowerShell in my search, run as administrator. Obviously, it will ask for permissions, which is fine. Let me get this to this screen. So I have my command ready. I will paste this command in the description of the video as well, so you will have access to the command as well, but it's pretty simple. Just do notepad and the location of your host file. Most probably it will be the same location for you guys as well if you're working on Windows. For Mac and Linux user, it should be /etc/hosts. So in terminal, you can just say sudo nano and just edit it right away. But for us, Windows user, it's like this. Let's hit enter. And in here, I'm going to copy the path of my Minikube IP. So let's just get that. And here, I'm going to say demo.local. Save this, close this. And now if I hit enter, it should work. And there we go. This is our NGINX default page. And I think we saw this page in the last video as well, where this is the default page provided by the NGINX server. So our ingress is running, and our ingress controller, which is NGINX in this case, that's routing traffic to demo.local. And when we visit demo.local, we see our service. Now, why this is powerful? Because this acts as a central entry point for your applications and microservices. This is cost efficient as well because there's only one load balancer managing all the microservices. Cleaner domain name setup. It scales easily for microservices and it supports TLS and SSL termination as well. So that's our first introduction to Kubernetes Ingress. You now know how to expose services in a clean and professional way, just like in production environment. In the next video, we'll explore how to manage application configurations inside Kubernetes using config maps and secrets, and we'll learn what are secrets and config maps, which are critical for separating code from configurations. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel Pydjango-Tutorial for a full Kubernetes series. Thank you so much for watching.